GA. Okay. Hello everyone, how's everyone doing? So just thought I'd come on, do a little live stream today, end of the week. Thought it'd be good to come on YouTube. Morning man. Geez, I haven't seen you stream in forever. How have you been? Yeah, I've been good, man. I've been good. How have you been, FFF trader? Yeah, I took a little break from the YouTube, and then we started doing a couple here and there over the last month or so. But I think we're gonna try and get back to some form of regular trading, right? I think that's gonna be, yeah, I think it's gonna be good. But yeah, just currently looking at GJ, waiting on GJ at the moment. Was looking at potential sells from 6:30, so coming on to 7 a.m. But then obviously we did not close below our support, so right now just currently waiting for the new 30-minute candle. So we're gonna wait and see what happens over here today. But potentially it's just gonna continue running down, right? Because if you look at the 1 hour candle, 1 hour candle kind of broke this level that you have over here. But we're going to get into some analysis in a little bit. Right here, broke that support right there, and obviously it closed right here in this rejection, and that's why I didn't really get into that. But yeah, being well man, yeah, I get you have been trading, just not streaming. Yes, yeah, I've still been trading. Trading's actually probably been the best I've ever been, ability wise, knowledge wise. So yeah, really up my game since having a little break off the charts. And yeah, I 100% feel that I'm at my my best that I've been, which is great for me. But yeah, I feel like that's why it's time to come back to the YouTube gradually, slowly, try and get that following back, and just give my knowledge, just try and help even further in ways that I can. But yeah, potentially this candle's just gonna continue running down. These are the days that impulse entries clearly work, but I just hate taking those type of trades there. So we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens really, because we could get a rejection and then a nice 30-minute close outside of the range, and then as more volume comes in for us to continue down. But this is certainly the target, right? So if we reach this, if we come down to here, then technically my trade setup is finished, because at that point we've then reached the target. So then I'd have to look for some form of a continuational move rather than using what we've got to see if we can push down to the support or not. So we're gonna have to wait and see anyway. Make that nice and tight. Yeah, it looks like it just wants to come down right now, but I think we could get a rejection because this 15-minute candle's got no top wick. So if it wants to make a little bit of a bottom wick and then start to go bullish back above 152.394, then that means the 30-minute should close with a like a wick for the next one to continue and fill coming down. But yes, yeah, no, today's live stream a little bit unexpected. Just really kind of fancied coming on to do it, to be honest. Not really any reason. I think we're gonna try to come on regularly Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but I need to see, because my schedule's kind of changing in September a little bit, so we're gonna have to see. But I do enjoy doing the YouTube. I do enjoy it, but it's just whether we're gonna have a lot of people come back on. And obviously there's been a lot of other streamers start since I've probably come off for a little bit, but that's fine. Just want to get some regular people back on. That would be really nice. So yeah, just waiting over here really for this 7 a.m. candle, to be honest. See what happens over here. But if it does continue running down, then it is what it is, right? Friday anyway. But this week, man, this week has been disgusting for pound yen. Don't know if anybody else. Well, I know a lot of people that have come to me saying that they've really had a bad week this week. But But yeah, I'd say the worst thing for me was just a lot of break evens, really, just not price going into profit and then just rejecting levels and just coming back to my entry, whereas usually when I'm break even, by that point we should just be continuing to my target. So been very choppy price action, but I think break evens is pretty good for a week with very little volume and very little moves. But yeah, how's it going, FX Guna? Nice to have you back on. This week has been super choppy. Yes, it has. That you're right. Super choppy. Yeah, no, it's not been a good week for pound yen, but I think it's because we haven't really had that much fundamentals. If you look today, there's no news. We had good GDP figures yesterday, but that seems to have not made a difference, right? That seems to have not really done much at all, to be honest. Yeah, there's not really much going on fundamentally with the pound right now, so we're just gonna have to wait and see. But yeah, hopefully this 15-minute candle is now gonna start rejecting to come back above and then give us this 30-minute close. But yeah, the only reason I was looking on the charts today was because whenever I see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right, the start of the week be really slow, sometimes you're gonna get a good amount of volume come towards the end of the week, right? But sometimes, so we're just waiting to see. And that's why when I looked at the 4-hour and I was like, okay, so we had this big drop yesterday, we broke daily support, we did this, we did that. I was like, okay, so when I come to the charts this morning, price made it low, so I'm instantly looking for some form of an opportunity to potentially get into a sell. But I didn't have confirmation yet because we had if you look on structurally, if you focus on the structure of the 30-minute, so here's your 4-hour low been created right here. In fact, let's make this white because we've got a lot of yellow colors here. If you think this is your low point, right? This is your low on the 4-hour, and this is also your low on the 30-minute that was created. You're now looking at this as a higher level of support, right? So you're kind of concerned about the support. So yeah, over here is good, right? You can start to see, so you had rejections here, you had a rejection here during the Asian session, and then yes, we started to reject here again. Where would have been a good opportunity potentially to take a sell? Probably right here, right? That might have been a good opportunity. However, what you have to understand is taking that trade, yeah, it's a little bit more risky. Why? Because we're in a range. The next candle could have broken above, right? Closed above, and then the next one wanted to come down, because that's just how sometimes price moves. There might be another wick up on the 4-hour to start to flip. We don't know that yet. So for me personally, that's why my plan was, when I came to the charts, was like, okay, we have this support right here. It's best to wait for a break of this support, and then I can say we should have an easy move coming down to 4-hour support. Now me previously probably would have been jumping in somewhere over here, impulse, push down, blah blah blah. Yes, it made sense today, but however, in the long term, for a consistency perspective, that's going to ruin you a lot of times, because nothing's broken out of the range yet. This candle's outside the range currently, but has not closed outside the range yet. So you can't 100% guarantee tick, yep, got confirmation, we're heading down, right? What would you do if this candle closed like this? Like a really weak candle. You would then feel potentially silly that you took a sell and now you're seeing this rejection. Does it make sense to even hold that? No. But yes, all good, mate. Good to have you back too. I appreciate that a lot. I do appreciate those who potentially will come back on regular with me and on the YouTube. I do really appreciate that. That would be amazing. That's one of the biggest things. I knew if I have a break, if I had a break, that I'm going to lose a lot of people. I'm going to lose a lot of regular people who wanted to show up. But I'm sure we can get it back, right? So we've got 7 minutes. I'm not really expecting this to retrace, but if it does, then perfect. If it doesn't, then it's just going to continue down, right? But anyway, guys, I know we've got a few people here. Be nice if we can get some likes on the stream. So if everybody can like the stream, that'd be great. start getting the stream back, because it's gonna be a little bit more different. It's gonna be a bit more of a chilled vibe, but more education, more question and answers, less to do with you know, like obviously before I would be like, okay, yeah, this is where I'm taking a short, whatever, right? I'd come and then put your stops there, whatever, right? That's good. I will still do that because that's how I like to trade, but there's less emphasis on, you know, this is the move, let's go catch the move, right? I want to teach people and show people the thought process prior and then leading up to the trade, how it all makes sense and interconnects, right? That's the point. But yeah, plus I do really enjoy the streaming. I did miss it. I did really miss it. It was a great vibe we had. But it's all comes back. But yeah, it looks like we are coming down still over here. 30-minute just does not want to retrace. It's breaking its own lows. Yeah, it looks like we're just gonna head down. So there's no confirmation today, unless you want it to be a little bit more ballsy based off of the 4 hour, and you wanted to take that kind of sell over here. But personally, if I was going to do that, if I was going to sell there, I'd have to have stops probably somewhere over here, like above this wick. Personally, having it over here, I just find that it's a bit too tight, risky, like, you know. But yeah, looks like we're coming down. It's Fridays for you, man. Yep, it's now reached the target at this point, basically. But we're still gonna see, you know, there's still opportunity, right? Still gonna be, but this week's been dreadful, right? This week's been dreadful. I still think we can have a move down to around 152, 266, 266. But it's a tricky one, right? 266, yeah. So this is the daily support area right over here. We have a support around 266. So this would definitely be a potential target for continuation. But yeah, we're just waiting over here. Just wait and see what happens. Still got 5 minutes, you know, it still can retrace, and then we have the next one to continue down. But yeah, it's a little bit of a shame over here that we didn't kind of get the confirmation, because this candle looked like it was gonna close below support. So I was like, okay, perfect. We're gonna have candle close below support, and then we can have the next one to continue down, retest the low, easy Friday, easy move, done. But no, closed above support, and that's it. Awesome, we've got a good amount of people here today so far. So yeah, like I said, if you can drop a like on the stream, that would be amazing. We'll answer any questions, look at any charts you guys have. But yeah, man, just a good discussion overall, really. So yeah, I think at this point, gonna need to wait for some form of a pullback and resistance to form for price to continue moving bearish, because right now nothing we can do, nothing going on at this point. Obviously, if you wanted to, you could have maybe gotten on the 15-minute, but me personally, I'm always gonna wait for the 30-minute candle to close. Anyone got any questions, any discussion, anything they want to add? So just before the stream was started, we're just checking out GA. I think GA is quite a cool pair. Kind of need another little potential other pair to start backtesting. I've done a lot of work on gold over the last few months. However, gold is very tricky, and especially in the London session, volume's very hit and miss. volume is very hit and miss. Morning, George. How's it going? But yes, gold very hit and miss. Oh wow, look at that. So yeah, just checking out GA really. GA potential good pair for the future. But yeah, it's a shame about this Friday, man. No confirmation yet. But what we may find is you may create this new low, right? With this new candle, tapped into support, reject, pull back, create some form of a resistance, potentially within the range, and then look to continue down. But I think it's going to be tricky here. It's going to be very tricky at this point. Because it's reached the target, it's reached everything. So... but yeah, potentially, if you wanted to, this 1 hour candle was your play, right? It's not always about potentially getting the right move, but potentially understanding how you could have caught that move, right? So from a structural point of view, this is your low form right here. So you are looking for a resistance, but what you can see is that price is starting to create the structural high level support. So what you want to do potentially is wait for your resistance to form and then maybe like a lower high. So this is where you're now having to use smaller time frames to understand. So then at that point, yes, then maybe this candle did make sense, right? Because then you had not like a higher low, but a failure to push higher, a failure to break higher, and then engulfing candle. So I mean, I never like taking those type of trades personally. I never like getting in with a trade here to push to there and then, you know, see what's going to happen, because at the same time you have to remember you're taking a trade within a range. So even if your higher time frame buyer says we're coming down over here, we can potentially pull up and then come down, right? If you look at the 4 hour, sorry, excuse me, if you look at the 4 hour, did we have much of a top wick at all? No. So that did technically mean that it was just straight sells for the session. So I'm happy with that. But in most cases, you're gonna see a wick up first, and then the candle start to flip to go bearish, and then you want to try and catch some form of a momentum, lower time frame trade coming down, right? And you see, since now the 4 hours tapped the 4 hour support, it's very tricky at this point to get any more continuation. We have a daily support level within this zonal area here, right? It's very tricky at this point trying to trade into this range. So we had the 30-minute candle closed over here, 7 a.m. 30-minute candle. I actually closed below our 4 hour support, but that does not mean that we're gonna 100% continue down. We might pull back into the range and then continue down, but at this point it does seem like there's a lot of bearish momentum potentially. But for momentum, you'd want to see a further resistance form, right? Because you could sell here saying, oh well, we broke below this support, so we might continue down here. Well, that's okay. You can say we might continue down here, but we've reached the low. So whenever price makes a low, we're going to retrace and we're going to retest that low, right? Yes, you might make a new low, but what might happen? Well, we're going to want to probably pull back to that kind of area, make that lower high again, and then continue down. So you're looking for potentially some form of a pullback to make that lower high, right here, using this as your other structure. So this being this, and this being somewhere over here. So you're looking for that resistance to form to retest what potentially what's been made down here, or for continuation purposes. But yeah, it's a shame about this 30-minute. I did not expect us to do that, but there you go. But yeah, let's get some likes up over here. We've got 0 likes. So yeah, if everybody can like the stream, that would be awesome. That would be wicked. Appreciate that. one dislike. I can never understand why someone would come on to dislike. Refresh it. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I've seen it now. Sometimes it just doesn't come through straight away. Okay, we're gonna wait over here, see what happens. But yeah, we still potentially could have gone bullish. That's the other thing as well, because although the daily gave us an inkling that we could continue down, obviously because we broke daily support, we closed below this zone as well. So yeah, there was a lot riding on sells. However, based off the 4 hour and based off the structure, we could have potentially continued up because we were still we were creating high levels of support. But then at that point, we basically just started to reject over here. Right, we started to reject over here, and then obviously from that point onwards, we then started to come down, right? But there wasn't much of a pullback. There wasn't any kind of, like sometimes you might get this situation and then you might pull down to here. You get a bit of a rejection, but then the next candle is just going to take you down because we've got that volume. So there wasn't even like even a bit of a pullback today. We had one pullback candle, which means there was technically a lot of volume today, technically, because we had no pullback, but just straight bearish candles. So but yeah, it's gonna be, should be good. Coming back on the live streams a bit more regularly now. But I'm gonna have to decide what days make the most sense. So we're just gonna wait over here for a little bit and see what happens, really. See what happens. But if not, then it is what it is. I think yesterday, if we look at yesterday's situation, so obviously we know yesterday's London session was a bit was not very good, right? We know yesterday's London session was not very good, but overall, I think if you was looking at the London session and understanding that it's not moved very well, then potentially you could have come on to the NY session to see how, if you could get some form of a continuation. So for me personally, I think there was good opportunity yesterday for continuation, especially NYC. NYC solid. You can see there, right? You've got this low form, pull back, resistance, right? Broke below the lows again, confirmation for continuation. Big drop at that point. So that was a really nice move. But yeah, I remember the months where GJ used to act exactly like this a lot. That's why I started looking at impulse entries, because I noticed that a lot of the time we just weren't getting the confirmation. We weren't getting the confirmation and then continuation. It was just impulse entry, break, bang, done. But that's perfectly okay. perfectly okay. Anyone got any questions? Anything they want to go over? This is the perfect time. People honestly don't use freeness. I know there's not a lot of us, but it's not the point. Point is believe me, if I had full attention with somebody on YouTube that can trade, then I'll be asking away. Let's say for example you're watching Raja's stream. There's a lot of people on there. You got a few thousand people. The chat gets spammed. So when you can come on to a YouTube stream where there's only a few people, it means it's almost like a classroom. When there's like just 5 of you in the classroom, you're gonna get that more attention, right? But then when a teacher's got to do a big lecture or something of 80 people, very hard to go and ask questions and find out. Oscar Ray, how long did it take to be profitable? That's a good question. So it took me around 2 years in the beginning to become profitable. Yeah, it took me around 2 years, and then I was profitable for about 2 years, and then obviously, there's no shame in being honest, and then I had a little bit of a blip, right? As you guys know, I took a break from the YouTube. This was earlier on this year. And yeah, I started to get into a little bit of a losing streak, to be honest. And the thing is, what I realized is when you start getting into a little bit of a losing streak because of whatever situation, trying to be too clever, trying to be overconfident, taking more riskier entries, not sticking to what you was good at, when you first started, what made me profitable, I lost that a bit. Like, I got too deep in the mud, right? I didn't wear my wellies. I went in, so I got stuck, right? And practically what I'm trying to say is, I had a bit of a blip. I had a 3 to 4 month period of just not understanding where I was going wrong. But then, obviously after time I realized, it's not necessarily like I can't understand what's going on. It's just I'm not taking the right trades anymore. I wasn't taking the right setups, trying to be too clever, trying to get too many impulsive trades. So what I've learned basically is no to impulse entries, right? I used to think they were great because a lot of the time I would see them happen a lot, right? I'd see them happen a lot, and I'd just be like, yeah, I want to get in that move. I want to catch that big drop. I don't want to wait. I think it was a little bit of impatience started to creep back in, which is no good, right? You don't really want that. But then since that blip, last 3 months, got it back, but better, than before. I'd actually say right now is the best I've probably ever been in trading, just purely based on the fact that my losses are small. That's not even with managing huge risk, right? I used to, if you guys remember on the stream, close half a lot. Let's say for example, let's say you took a sell here and then you wanted to anticipate the support to break. I'd be closing half if you break that high. Now, let's say for example, I wouldn't be doing that. I'd only be closing my full position if I'm wrong. If the counter goes like that, let's just for example, it's not how I would trade, but let's say for example it did that, I'd be out, right? I'd just say nope, that trade is finished, I'm wrong, bang, I don't want to be in that. So I'm going to save myself, let's say stops over here, I'm going to just save myself that. I'm just going to save the headache, get out, look for another opportunity. If for example let's say I closed half here, it broke the high, but then closed down over here, I'm now closed half, and now I'm like, oh, now I've got, potentially add that back on. And then let's say the trade doesn't even work out then I've actually added more and lost more than I should have done, right? So it's just pretty simple now. And one of the best things that I did to really help me, and this is just God's honest truth, and I think everybody should take this advice on board, is the most important thing is a trade plan, right? That's the most important thing, because then I realized, what is my trade plan, right? I sat back, I was like, okay, I'm taking all these impulse entry, blah, blah. That's not really my trade plan, is it? I need to have a specific entry requirement, a specific exit requirement. So when I started to realize I need very, very specific rules, right? So we're just going to put rules, yeah? When I realized I needed very specific rules, again, that's when things started to change, because then you can understand, okay, what are rules? Well, then for rules, what does rules require? Back testing. So what did I do? I spent a lot of time back testing, right? And then that's when you start to make your breakthroughs. You start to find setups that make sense, that work for you, right? That's when you start to find that progression, that progressive state. Okay, so I think that's really, really important. But a lot of it, all in all, was trial and error. Trial and error. Sorry, I don't know why I'm writing this all down, but it's just because obviously if if people want to take notes, then it's right there. But yeah, trial and error as well. Just taking live trades and learning, and finally, and just getting back on my feet. So yeah, all in all, just to summarize, I think just gotta it's very important to have your trade plan, understand your rules, and just and plan out your trade, plan out what you're looking for. I already said this morning when I came to the charts, if he buys above here and it'll be sells below here, that's it, right? If I wanted to take a range trade, personally I don't like doing that, so I don't. Yeah, today, oh yeah, could have got in there, put stops there, high time frames bearish, so then target them. No, I don't like that, because then I'm taking a trade in a range not fitting my rules. So then I don't take the trade, right? I missed the move, that's okay. Philip Scott, could you please explain what kind of entries you take and what setups you are looking for? So me personally, I'm looking for confirmation. I'm going to put it in a big C. Confirmation trades only, right? Confirmation trades only. This way, if you wait for confirmation, right, you're going to be way more consistent. Okay, did we have confirmation that we were going to break this support with this candle? No, we didn't, right? Why? Because this candle, right, so this candle here, it did not close below support, it closed at support. So whenever price closes at support, we don't know, so question mark, we don't know whether we're going to break down or go bullish. So why would you sell if you can't say that we're going to go down or go up? Yes, higher time frames, yes, you can anticipate, yes, fine. But simple fact, if you were just to look at that range, can you tell me if we're going to go up or we're going to go down? No, you can't. Some might even argue, well, hang on a minute, we got this support right here as well. Do we have confirmation now? Yes, this is confirmation, right? Why is that confirmation? Because we have a 30-minute candle closing below that support. Would I take a trade off this candle? Probably not. Why is that? Because we've hit my target, we've reached the target. You'd now be selling at the low. There's not really much to do at this point, right? I have to wait for a further pullback. But what does that mean now then? Well, it means now that I've got confirmation because we've broken out of the range, right? There's your range. We've broken out. Now what can I do? Well, if I don't want to take a sell over here because of stops and we've hit the target, etc., what do I need to do? Well, now I need to understand that I can wait for some form of a resistance, right, to push back down to whatever low has been created. Based off the fact that I've got confirmation of a breakout, and then I have further confirmation of a resistance to continue this move in that given direction. Okay, so the difference basically being, Philip, is that the entries that I take will be waiting for confirmation. So even if, let's say, I can do a little drawing here. Let's just say we got a bullish confirmation this morning. So we got a candle like this, bullish candle, right? That's your confirmation candle that we broke this resistance. Okay, let's say though, for example, that I didn't want to take that buy for whatever reason. I didn't like these rejection wicks. I would then potentially wait on the lower time frame for some form of a continuational state. So for example, whenever you see we broke out, what you're sometimes going to find is that you're going to get, let's say this is the 15-minute chart, but let's say that the 15-minute and the 30-minute both closed above, you might get a little bit of a pullback on the next 15-minute candle like this. But have we still broken out? Yes. Are we still respecting this area? Yes. So now what am I waiting for? Okay, now I want to see a further bullish candle to give me further confirmation. So if I get a bullish candle close like this, what am I going to do? I'm probably going to take a buy, because we had a breakout tick, we had a pullback, we respected, and now we've got confirmation of continuation. So now I'm looking to get into that trade. So that's the difference. Whereas before I'd come on the chart, I'd say, okay, we have a support, a target down here, we have a range, right? We've got volume coming at 7, we have a candle closing at support. If we break this low, we can continue down. But I know that this percent of working out is probably going to be about 40%. You might get that really nice rip on an occasional, but you do that over 100 times, you're going to lose a lot. And that's what happened to me, basically. And then I flipped it the other way around and I said, okay, let's wait for confirmation and let's not do this. And now the win rate went back up to 70-80%. Bang, done. Okay, George sent my idea on Discord. Let's take a look. Okay, so we've got George. I can pull this up, I don't mind, for the YouTube. Let's pull this up. Let's go full screen. So we've got pound yen. What's that? The 4-hour chart, George. Daily bias is sells, currently in a 4-hour range. Got to wait for further sell confirmation. Don't take bad setups on a Friday. Exactly. Sells with resistance below. I think that's better. I think as well, you might personally have to wait for our You might have to personally wait for our London session candle to close. Right? You might have to wait for your 4-hour candle to close. See if we're going to close below, and then, like you say, wait for a resistance in the new 4-hour top wick or whatever to look to continue that move down. But I agree. But I would just take it a little bit easy today. I think your golden setup, so to speak, with that type of what you're looking for, that resistance and continuation, I think that's going to be, you're going to need to wait for something like what happened yesterday, which is a 30-minute close for continuation, right? So there's your 4-hour close. So understand that's your 4-hour close right there. This candle here. So that closed the 4-hour below support. There's your new pullback, which is creating your 4-hour top wick. There's your R formed, right? So now your 4 hours there. But would you take that sell there? Probably not, because it's very tricky at that point, right? We're at support. We could reject, do that, and then your 4 hours basically just come back to just range, right? Just to finish like that. So you don't really want to be involved in that. What you want to do is you want to then wait for the next candle to close, which is something like this, and then you can say, okay, now we've broken below the low, we should continue down. And then you had this little bit of a push, pull back again for NYC, and continuation. That's awesome. So we are pulling back. You can see right here the 1-hour candle, right? It's retracing. Look at the 4-hour now, pulling back, tapped into support, retracing, right? It's fine. I know some people might even want to have taken buys. Some people might be looking for buys down over here because we are at 4-hour support, right? Some people might be like, okay, well, yeah, I know we're coming down, but we're at 4-hour support. right, we might not break this. So now they're looking for lower time frame rejections to see that. So you look on the 5 minute, and you might want to say, okay, well, we're starting to see rejection over here after this, seeing a support formed, and then potentially, right, some form of a break above this kind of resistance would give you that. But I don't really like taking those type of trades, but I know a couple people that do, and sometimes it works out for them, other times it doesn't. Yeah, I'd expect this to be a MY move. Yeah, it depends, because it depends how the 4-hour closes. If the 4-hour closes in the range, then you could just expect MY to do the same, just consolidate within this area, right? But if the 4-hour breaks out or rejects, closes weak, and then the new 4-hour candle starts doing this, you know what we're expecting at this point, right? Look at the weekly. Weekly still coming down, so I did kind of expect, okay, maybe if weekly still wants to come down, we might actually pull back to like the 152 level, right? Makes sense. All these weeklies, July, beginning of August, we've all rejected around the 152 mark. It may want to pull back there one more time, but then from a daily perspective, that means breaking below 260. That means coming right the way down to 152, which seems tough to me at this point, but I do think that if we get the 4-hour breaking below, it's more possible. Yeah, we've got a few rejection areas on the way, but it's more possible for that to happen, in my opinion. So we've got 5 minutes left for this 30-minute candle to close. Wait and see over here. Wait and see what's happening. But yeah, great to see so many people back. Awesome, awesome. But yeah. But yeah, if we do, let's say, come back above, you know, like 152.457 or 152.458, you could argue at that point that you have an opportunity that the 4-hour may be pulling back, right? That this is a big liquidity grab for it to go bullish, and that daily actually does want to come back up above this support and potentially back above this zone. Potentially is, you know, weekly closing like a rejection is possible. It's very possible. But yeah, we're gonna see. I personally would want to see buys above 152.527. But if you look at what happened yesterday, the same process was there for me, right? Buys above 152.150. So let's say, for example, this is my resistance. I'd be looking for buys above that. You got the confirmation at 8:30, right? But what was the problem with that? Well, we closed below a certain key level. We had areas to the left which potentially could reject. So for me, it didn't really make sense to get into that trade. But look what happened yesterday, right? Sell bias coming down 7:30, right? What did we do? Reacted to 4-hour support, pulled up above the range, and then faked out to continue. What may happen today? Same thing, right? Potentially. But we'll see. So I think at this point, clearly we're also creating a support over here. Okay, so I do think if you wanted continuational state at this point, I think you're gonna need to at least see a close below this support, right? Now, because since this candle came down to support, it closed below, people would be probably jumping sells. Not a good idea, right? Oh, sorry. Excuse me there. Yeah, people jumping in sells. It's not a good idea. It's not a good idea at all. It makes no sense. So what you want to do is either wait for this pullback and resistance to push to here, or if you really want, you can wait for confirmation below the support for continuation. Alright, understand the difference between, let's say, a resistance to retest the low and confirmation of continuation. So we've got a minute and a half to see what happens with this 30-minute candle. But it's going to be interesting anyway. But what I'm doing is I'm now looking at the fact that I have confirmation, right? There, like I said, there's my confirmation tick. We broke out of the range, right? Now I want to see some form of a resistance form. Continue down, retest lows, continue down. Can you explain USD JPY pair and what's going on it? What do you mean by can I explain USD JPY? Do you want me to analyze USD JPY, or you want me to, what is it you want me to explain about that pair? Personally, I don't know what's going on with it. I don't look at it anymore. I used to, but I don't anymore. So I don't quite know what's going on with it. But I can certainly look at it if you want me to. That's what we're here to do. We're here to help people, I suppose. So yeah, I can certainly take a look. How far away is 266? Not that far, is it? No, not really. Ranges are a bit shit. Anyway, 30-minute close coming to a close. If you look at the 15-minute candle still bullish though. So right now there's no sells really, you know, unless you're using 5-minute time frames. But again, risky business. You can use the 5-minute. If you're gonna use the 5-minute, let's say as an entry, let's say you get a 5-minute resistance, right? 5-min R, and you want to take that 5-minute trade down to here, and then whatever. You need to be using your confirmation stops, same stops, because if you're using, let's say, just above this wick, there's a very high chance you'll get stopped out, right? So you need to be using the a little bit higher time frame if you're going to use the 5-minute as an as an entry point. Yes, analysis is ranging since 2 days. Well, I can certainly do it, but if it's been ranging for 2 days, that probably means that's it's not gonna be worth analyzing, if it's ranging. But we can look at it anyway. But let's just wait and see what happens over here with this 30-minute candle. See, this is a good example of what I would have been doing back in the day, right? So back in the day, I'd look at this and be like, okay, we had a big volume candle, then we had a weak bullish candle, right, with a rejection, and then I'd be selling right there. Honestly, that's what I'd be doing. I'd be selling right there. I'd be like, okay, if we break this low, we can continue down through this wick and hit the support and then drop further, right? And yeah, sometimes it's gonna make sense, right? So for example, someone could have maybe taken that as an impulse. Stop would have to be above that kind of wick there, but that would have to be with London open, right? That have to be with London open, that you expect the volume to continue. But personally, right, I don't do that. Personally, I don't do that. I'm not gonna want to sell into this zone right now without confirmation, for me personally. But certain people, they may like that idea, they may like the impulse trades. That's perfectly fine. That's okay. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But just be wary of this support and be wary of 266, because that's our daily area, which is where we're at right now. But it doesn't look like GJ cares. Personally, if I was in an impulse sell right now, I'd be break even. I would be getting that to break even ASAP using the volume, because we can reject here, we can reject anywhere in here now. This is daily level. We don't have confirmation for continuation yet because even this candle has not closed yet. This 15-minute candle has not closed yet. But it seems like there's a lot of volume here today. But yeah, I'll analyze USD JPY in a second. We will analyze that in a second, don't worry. Anybody take those impulsive sells, or seems like an impulsive day on GJ? Just no. Yeah, it just wants to come down. Maybe we are gonna come down to that weekly zone. Maybe that's what she wants to do. But yeah, as an impulse entry, that's pretty good. It's pretty good because you can see the rejection. But what you're actually doing technically is getting in on the 5-minute resistance that we spoke about, looking for continuation. Right, 1 second guys, I just got a call coming in, and then I will look at USD JPY in a second. Literally give me a minute and then we're going to check it out. Okay, right, let's check it out then. Let's check out USD JPY. But yeah, it looks like we tapped into that previous 4-hour zone right now on GJ. Very tricky now, very tricky. But yeah, anyone who took that impulse entry, probably, yeah, it's the best impulse entry you can get. But let's say you did want to take that, I think as a minimum stops there, but realistically you should be using this as your confirmation. You should be using that's your breakout, and you're just looking for, again, an impulsive continuation of movement, but it's not a confirmation continuation. A confirmation continuation would be to see this 15-minute candle, right, close probably somewhere like here. So let's say, for example, it closes like this big ass wick, like that, but it's still closing below the low, so it would make sense for the next one to continue down. So that would be confirmation. But yeah, I can take a look at USD JPY real quick, and then I've just got to shoot off for a second. Got USD JPY. Well, USD JPY is actually breaking out right now, mate. So if we look at the daily, So look like dailies come into this rejection area, right? Maybe that's why we're ranging a little bit. Pick up some order flow to potentially come back down to daily support. If you look at your 4 hour, okay, so this is where you're looking at your 4 hour. And what from a 4 hour structural point of view I'd be probably looking at was, you can see at this point here you had a bullish move up. You had a bullish move up, right? Made a high. And then what you kind of had was this support zone that it created. And it's very clear at this point that since we broke down below that support, it created a range, but it actually created a resistance below your previous level support. So what made sense? Wait for the consolidation to break and then look for downside. Let's go to your smaller time frame, right? And you're going to probably see the same thing. Alright, so your whole consolidation area is this big ass range, right? But if you're using volume times and you're using session times, you probably want to focus in a little bit more. So then what I probably do is I probably look at maybe this area and like let's say this resistance right here, or you know, you could look at this area, whatever, right? Point being is you're looking for a confirmation for sells. So there would be your candle right there. It broke that support, it broke this support as well, which is your session. And then what do we have looking left? Yes, you're still in the 4 hour range, but you have a clean move down here. So what does that mean? That means you could look to push to here as a minimum. That's your 4 hour support. And then you could go break even and then see if we're going to break out of that range, right? Rather than holding that sell, gets to here, does that, and then you're still in it. No. Get in that sell, get to the 4 hour support, push down to there, and then see what happens. Because now look, we're breaking out. So you could have caught that whole breakout move, so to speak. Okay. But yeah, GJ is just continuing down at this point. 15-minute candles, not really pulling back. 30-minute candles not giving us confirmation for continuation. So there's a lot of volume here today. But we didn't even get confirmation over here, which would have been, this kind of what I was waiting for to get a nice setup. But this is just one of those days. It's an impulsey day. This is where your impulse entry people make money. But then there's other days where your impulse entry people get screwed. And this is the days where if you wait for confirmation, it just doesn't come. Unless you literally took the sell here, put stops here, and then just held to that, then yes, but I would never personally do that because now you're selling where? At support, so it doesn't really make sense. No problem, no problem. So guys, if you've enjoyed today's stream, do drop a like on the stream. It does seem like not really going to be an opportunity here for me to personally get into a trade or anything. I'll leave the stream running for about another 10 to 15 minutes. And then I think we're going to finish off. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if we do get that. But I believe at this point it seems like GJ is, yeah, it's kind of finished. You know, I wouldn't personally want to get into a sell like down over here. If I want to get into a sell, got to be somewhere over here below the support. Yeah, for me to want to get in. You could arguably wait for the 30-minute to close. You know, it's not unseen that the 30-minute might leave a wick and then close like that. That to me is still a confirmation, right? Because then we have a confirmation of the continuation. I would take that trade every single time as usual. But yeah, like I say, just gonna probably have to wait over here the 18 minutes. But yeah, I'll leave the stream running for about another 10-15 minutes, probably for this 30-minute to close, and then we will see then. I'm personally gonna be back in a minute, be about 5 minutes, and I'll be back. But yeah, we're gonna wait and see what happens. Right, we've got 3 minutes left. You could wait to see this 15-minute close. You could arguably do that. You could wait for that, but personally, always safest is the 30 minutes. So you'll see, but you have to understand now. You have to understand that, like I said, look where we're at. We're at a previous daily support. I'm not saying that's the be all and end all, but you have to think about your zones. You have to think about, okay, it makes sense that we could reject here to potentially go up, right? But again, you have to wait and see. You know, you got a previous 4-hour resistance over here, and this is a zone. Remember, this is a zone. So if we find rejection in this zone, that's why the 4-hour may finish off like that, right? It may not close into this zone. We don't know yet. It's definitely a tricky place to sell. I mean, obviously, if you wanted, you know, the easiest selling option was somewhere over here, but it wasn't really an easy one. I mean, it's easier than selling over here. Selling over here is tricky because now you're selling way down over here when the move has happened, technically. But you're now trying to find some form of a confirmation for, like I say, for continuation. But yeah, right. Give me 10-15 minutes, guys, and I'll be back, and then we'll see what's up, and then probably call it a day. So bear with me, people. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So if we look at pound yen over here, 30-minute candle's coming to a close. Yeah, there's no opportunity for me here today, to be honest. So yeah, I think I'm gonna call it a day, call it a week as well, even. But yeah. So. Okay, please explain gold. Okay, I can quickly do a breakdown on gold. Okay. I mean, looking at the daily, obviously daily looks like it's moving bullish at this point. Just remove analysis. So daily looks like it's moving bullish, but potentially we have an area of rejection around 1761. Let's look on the 4-hour. Yeah, so around 1759 as well, clearly coming into a bit of a rejection zone over here. Previous level support, but potentially you could have a move up to 1763 on gold on the 4-hour time frame, because right now the 4-hour candle is breaking above the highs over here after this pullback and liquidity grab. So potentially there is state of continuation. 1 hour looks like it wants to continue. 30-minute also looks like it wants to continue. However, as you can see, we've rejected this area on the 30-minute. Right, for gold, and obviously what you can see right now is that we have created a resistance. So I think if you're going to want to get a trade on gold, personally I think you need to take buys back above 1759. So you're probably going to need a candle to close above 1759, because this 30-minute candle created resistance and this 30-minute candle broke above but rejected it. So potentially you can have that, but I think also if you're looking for maybe a selling opportunity, maybe below 1757, because then you can have a clean move coming down to around 1755. So that would be a decent range to trade. It's like a 20 pip range. And then above 1759, as we look left, yes, we have this area, but we've already tapped into it. So I think at that point you would have a clean range coming up to around 1763, but at worst way I think you might get some reactions at 1762. So overall you still have a very decent 30 pip range for buys, but also you also have a 20 pip range for sells there as well. So that's basically what I would look at. I would want to see target for sells over here and target for buys over here, but I'd just be a little bit cautious of this level, right? I'll just understand that's your 4-hour level, so just put a little mark there and understand that you want to be watching for reactions. So even if you get candle close above like this, right, but then it, you know, you're like, oh, but what do we do have this level here? Well, you want to just watch. So if the next candle starts pushing into profit and you're like, oh, happy days, but then starts to do this, okay, well that means we're rejecting that area, could start coming back in the range. So that's how you want to manage that trade accordingly. If we look at pound yen over here, so 30-minute candle obviously did close bearish for a potential continuation of state, but for me personally, I don't want to be selling way down over here. I feel like I've missed, well, not like I missed, like I didn't know how to catch it. I knew how to caught it. I knew how to catch it, but it was a more of an impulsive move today. We didn't really have confirmation for continuation unless you wanted to get in right over here. But I'm not going to sell at a daily support. I'm not going to sell right over here. I think at this point the move has been missed. Right, but it is what it is. We've had a crap week on GJ anyway, so I'm happy to just call it a week there and come back fresh next week is much better, right? So anyway, guys, thanks very much for coming on, everybody. Please drop a like on the stream. I'm going to update everyone on the weekend when I decide 100% what's happening with the YouTube. But yeah, I do really appreciate everyone coming on. Obviously, trade safe with gold, etc. Obviously, be careful with pound yen. I know it looks like we may come down to your weekly support level, and I did kind of anticipate that, but you do have to be a little bit cautious with the levels that we are, because this might not get reached till NYC. This might not get reached till you know, NY session. So we might get the pullback in London. So don't always believe that we're 100% going to continue down. We might get a further pullback and then continuation. But yeah, I think today the best candle we can kind of see that made sense, probably using this 5-minute candle as a solid resistance, and then kind of looking to push down to the low and then see if we're going to break it with volume. But all in all, yeah, not not the easiest day, impulsive day, impulsive moves at volume times. Just got to know what to do at those times. Back in the day, me would have been all over that impulse entry right there, so it would have been a win, but I don't take them anymore, so that's perfectly fine. But sometimes, you know, if you're feeling a little bit risky, you want to put a little 1% on it, go for it, or half risk or whatever. But me personally, I just think it's best just to stay away, wait for your confirmations, and just have easy, nice trades, you know. But yeah, anyway, guys, thank you very much. Take care, and we'll see everybody at some point next week. So thanks very much, everyone, and yeah, have a great weekend. Appreciate it, and we'll see everybody next week. Thanks, guys. Take care. Thank you, thank you, thank you.